And next up, we have a presentation from Khair presented by Yvonne and Dee.
Thank you so much. Good morning. If the original agenda was Julia, obviously Nita, Deep, and I are Julia. We're just so happy that Afni found us. And we're very grateful for a chance to meet you all this morning to tell you all a little bit about our organization and a spectrum of food justice and food security project that we've been pursuing for a little while. Okay? So we will share with you a little bit of story about organization and what we've been doing. And hopefully this meeting is to build friendship and collaboration. And so Deep and I decided to go a little bit informal, everyone. It's more hearing our story, hearing where we are. And we're really looking for brothers and sisters to join in with the food security work. So everyone, I'm Yvonne, and Deep and I are with the Multicultural Health Brokers Cooperative in Edmonton. It's a tiny rebel-rousing workers co-op in Edmonton. We've been known as the hidden gem of Edmonton. So a little bit of the story about organization is about 30 years ago, actually Edmonton has the city and the province had a very strong commitment to ethnocultural communities. And so even in the public health department, they were scanning the city to see who are the ones who have poorer health outcomes. So from that effort came a desire to find out from ethnocultural communities and newcomers what's happening to young families. And as a result of the research, oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, sorry, everyone. I'm a technocrat, so I think I might have done something. Yeah.
I think you kicked them out.
Sorry, everyone. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, my apologies to everyone. But yeah. Okay, so back to the story about organization. So anyways, the public health department did a research and found out from young couples in our ethnocultural community what life has been for them since they came to Canada. The story echoes today, 30 years later, the isolation and the loneliness, the deepening of poverty, and the confusion of the system in Canada and so many gaps, right? And the idea of having community workers who are bridges between the families, the ethnocultural communities, and the formal system emerged out of that research. So Deep and I then belong to the Multicultural Health Brokers Co-op, which is an organization created by community health workers from the ethnocultural communities to be a bridge and really to do holistic family support, to do community engagement development, as well as collaborate with whoever cares about our community, and particularly systems for collaboration to bring about change. And so we are an organization that's very much part of the ethnocultural community, an organization by the people for the people. And so now from 14 women who got us going back in the early 90s, we're 130. And now truly we reflect the generations. You know, I was among the founding members and Deep is some of the younger members who've joined the organization. And so you can imagine our everyday work is steeped in being with the people, supporting our families to really actualize their aspiration in Canada and build communities to be strong, to find solution, and really collaborate very deeply with the key systems that impact our community. Health, income support, Alberta Works, child welfare, unfortunately, education system. Everybody, you know, the deeper and the true determinants of health and well-being, and those are the systems we work every day collaboratively to bring about change, and it's not been easy. How we enter into food security was everyone, those who are old enough, remember that during the boom and bust, this is where Alberta began to experience much deeper poverty. And so for us as a group of community workers steeped in the lives of our people, we're just seeing how much the families are struggling. They were living in poverty, but previously we could support them to find gainful employment, meaningful employment, and things get better. But since the boom and the bust, many families are trapped in poverty. Even if they work, the couple worked 2-3 jobs, they just couldn't survive. Cost of housing is so high. And of course, also other cost of basic needs. So we began to say each of the workers are seeing this truth, but how can we make this truth be visible? So we began to do our own rapid research. We started with housing research. What we discovered was, to our surprise, collectively, not individually, that families were paying 75 up to 100% of the income on housing, which leaves them very little resources for food and other resources. So unfortunately, many families survived on child tax benefit, which is not right, but that's how they were surviving. And so from that, it prompted us to begin to look at food security more seriously. And we're very lucky, always the right colleagues come into our picture. Hopefully today is one of those examples. We're very much connected to the University of Alberta. Many of you might have heard of Community University Partnership, CoOp. And so originally they approached us because one of the first program public health set up for us was mothers and infant health. So our researcher colleagues at the university were saying, oh, we want to do some research around how mothers make decision of providing nutritional food for the family. And they said, can we talk to pregnant mothers or breastfeeding mothers? We said, absolutely you can, but we want to guarantee you it's not about choice, it's about something else. So that research actually really helped the mothers speak very honestly about the food security issues in their lives, right? And that research prompted us to begin to look at a spectrum of solutions anchored in food as a gateway to social, cultural, economic, and spiritual, political well-being. And so this has been the beginning of our journey to look at food justice and food sovereignty. And so fast forward a little bit since that research, as an organization, we are promising our people that they will guide us in terms of how they experience food insecurity, but also how food could be a true solution for their socioeconomic integration. And so we begin to create a number of tools to help us. So the first one is to really look at the families along a continuum of financial capacity. We have to find solutions to bring down the cost of food and then bring up their income on this continuum. And so this is where Deep and I will tell you right now where we are at, and we're desperately reaching out. Our hands are out there hoping to grab and link arms with others, because since COVID, as you can imagine, the food security problem insecurity problems have deepened. And unfortunately, we're not seeing others truly stepping up at a higher level to create a new food system to respond to this new reality. So anyways, now, these are the strategies that we have in place, anchored in an approach that we hope you will join us in, which is, can we have conversation with the very community members impacted by food security? Let them guide us. Let us understand how they live it, how they survive it, what solutions do they see, but also invite them to dream about how food, being so sacred, as Deep is saying, could be a solution for them, tapping into their strength and their cultural wealth, right? So that approach we call the Persimmons Project approach, which is conversations to find solutions. And we'll tell you another time about the story of Persimmons. Julia will be much better telling you the story. So let you imagine families on a continuum of financial capacity to have nutritious, adequate, culturally relevant food, right? Unfortunately, we are stuck at the far end where families could not find extra income for food. So we have now a weekly food hamper program that was only around 190 families just around the time of pre-COVID. Now we're edging towards 600, and it's become a real burden for our organization. But it's also a celebration of how many Edmontonians come around to be volunteer drivers to deliver the food because of COVID. How many, mostly women, lovely women of all ages, coming together every Thursday, packing the food hampers and delivering. It's a story of celebration of how much we care about each other in a sense of shared humanity, right? But it's a model that we know we cannot continue because it's really, the need is beginning to way past our financial and human resource needs. And so that would be one. But what I would love for Deep to share with you is we're thinking for those who have a little bit of food, how can we also ensure that they have decent food, hopefully delivered to them if they have mobility or transportation issue. And so this is where I want Deep to tell you a bit more about the Care for All program, Güd Box. And we even brought propaganda material to share with you all, but Deep will tell you more. And then I'll come back to tell you a little bit from the first Persimmons conversation, what were the inspiration coming from the community members about their aspiration, their strength. So I'll hold off till a little bit later. Deep, do you want to talk about the Care for All? Yeah.
Yvonne's a very hard act to follow.
No.
I don't speak as articulately as she does. So, Care for All is our it's a social enterprise we set up, as Yvonne said, to move families along the food security continuum. And so we partnered up with actually a corporate partner called the Güd Box to come up with a culturally relevant and appropriate food box program. So we have two food boxes. One is a regular one and a large one. The regular one is $25, the large one is $50. And what we wanted to do is be able to beat retail prices. So what you're seeing at just say Superstore, Walmart, H&M, even maybe, right? Some of the bigger, larger retailers, and provide you with a much more affordable box. So the families that are coming from Grocery One, the ones that we know have means that can stretch their dollars even more, we can migrate them over to this program. And so we offer two boxes. The $25 one has over 50 varieties of just fresh, new produce. Right now, we're only doing vegetables. We don't have the means to do dry foods because of the supply chain issues, and it's incredibly expensive for us to find. Dry goods, if there's someone in this audience and speaking that has access to, that can help us and guide us, that would be amazing. But we don't do meats and cheeses as well. So we just do produce right now. And we've been working with a lot of community organizations actually for this program. So the John Humphrey Center for Human Rights, Amity House, they've been able to actually use their budgets to purchase boxes from us and then distribute those out into their communities. So this is not only good for our families and for the community in general, but it's been a great program for other CBOs in Edmonton. The program is open. We don't have income testing. We don't have a subscription service. We don't have new registration. There's no means testing. It's an open program to anyone. You can just go online, you can sign up and get a box delivered, or you can pick up from our local community based organizations that are partnering up as depots. So we have about 5 in the city, including St. Paul's Evangelical Church, that you can go and just pick up your box from there as well. That's every Monday and Tuesday. I'll give it back to you.
Thank you, Deepa. Everyone, please keep in mind some questions you might have later. We can entertain some. Oh, again, yeah. So thank you. So maybe the last piece we'll share with you all is when we had the Persimmons conversation, what were the community members talking about? And of course, we discover for many ethnocultural communities, we have a wrong root in farming and growing. And so many of them spoke about how much they would enjoy returning to farming. And even for those who are not farmers, spoke about, we would love to grow. In the refugee camp, when we couldn't have food, we grow. And so this desire to grow has become a very bright light to guiding us. And so we just started last year to find appropriate growing opportunities, either just for mental health or family relaxation, or all the way to help some of the community members who used to be farmers to start to go back to growing, right? So this is one direction we all think is a good one to go for either socio-economic integration, right? And we're going to also grow food to support our grocery run. And just there's so many possibilities around growing, particularly given COVID, right? How expensive to bring food from outside. So I hope that's something Alberta Food Matters might be interested in. And the other part is, as soon as Julia returns from a break, we're going to launch a slightly different level of work. Okay? Right now, we're taking the work more in a community development programmatic way. But what we wish to do, we always dream big, is to look at how can we support others working alongside to create a whole new food system given COVID, right? A structure where we could really ground our work in social justice and food sovereignty and food justice, and not be so fragmented around the commercial side versus the growing side versus the social needs side. And so as soon as Julia returned, we're going to embark on a project for the rest of the year. And it has a bit of funding from Edmonton Community Foundation, who's quite interested, hey, because many of us felt that in this city, locally, we haven't seen enough strong, brave leadership to have conversation around food justice and so food sovereignty. So hopefully this enough will get you all interested in us and that we get to know you more and work together. So I'm gonna end here. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we got questions. Wanda, please go ahead, Wanda.
So you had said the role that Alberta Food Matters could play. So one of the thing, we see ourselves as connectors. And so we don't run programming, we just connect people. And so what we had done with school food, which I think we should do with school food security, sorry. So school food now has a community of practice, because there are a whole bunch of groups around the province working in their own little silos on school food. And so we've started a monthly meeting where we get together and we talk about what we're doing, how we can help each other, different programs are getting going, which give ideas to other people working in that area. So I think what Alberta Food Matters should do is, because Claire started us off last year meeting with all of the people working in food security around the province. So we called them meet and greets, and we videotaped 2 of them. And so this is another that will be videotaped, and Vimero posts it to our YouTube page. But I think that what we could do is have a community of practice of food security, that we get together on a regular basis with. So you've got Hope Mission working in this, you got Food Bank, all these different potential partners for you guys, and you with ideas for, you know, ways that everybody could work together instead of just being in their silos. So that's what I think we should do, is stay connected and work to connect all those people who are trying to help people who are food insecure without reinventing the wheel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
wonderful.
just a thought.
Yeah, thank you, Wanda. It is about how to activate the relational structure we already have for the right solutions. Yeah, Avni, thank you for inviting us. So please share your question. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. And I'm sorry I wasn't there in person to meet you. And so the growing food piece piqued my interest, because I have quite a bit of family in Edmonton, and they're able to grow like a lot of the Indian vegetables and things like that, just because of the sun, like compared to Calgary, how much they can grow. And yeah, it would be just so great if there was a community of them that were talking about it and doing it. And then because right now my passion is school food, and I'm moving into those spaces, I'm wondering if with the surplus, there's a way that food that's grown in gardens can go into schools in Edmonton, like where their kids are going or grandkids are going usually. And I don't know if that's been discussed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we often think about schools, right? This is where our children and youth spend most of their week hours. And some of the schools are so trusted by the families and community. They are the natural hub. And in fact, Deep and our team were thinking maybe the schools could also be part of the Care for All program, right? Because there it provides dignity. Families could purchase food boxes, whatever they could afford. So the school could be a pivot around which we could design. But I just wanted my dear brothers and sisters in this, in Alberta Food Matters, to also think about, aside from schools, there are other natural connecting points. For example, in our own ethnocultural communities, we have our connections and our capacity that we can also mobilize and support families. And we mustn't forget other networks for ethnocultural and newcomers. There's a settlement sector who are also working with the families regularly. So I would encourage our colleagues at Alberta Food Matters to maybe think about, for any of the more marginalized population, where are the most common contact point? School is definitely one, but there are other ways where people are gathering and well connected, and that we can, really mobilize and engage the strength in those networks, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question and a comment. Curious, so going back to what Wanda had said about the connections, I don't know if the folks are aware. I know folks participated in Edmonton, the city of Edmonton led a food security network. And so my organization isn't connected. I'm from Leftovers, and my organization isn't connected with the Edmonton one, but connected. The same conversations happened in Calgary, led by the city and by city social workers. Yet they didn't know that the same thing was happening in the city, which I found really interesting. So I think there's a lot of this happening that still doesn't have, I guess, a higher level awareness or recognition and conversation. So I think there is still a lot of room to go on that. The second thing I was going to say on the growing side, I don't know if folks are aware, but like in Edmonton or some campus, all the university farmland, like there's 3 massive farming garden operations there. Edmonton Organic Growers Guild, Khair Farm. And like there's a lot of like, hey, I wonder if there's an opportunity to do some of that growing stuff on some campus.
Dear brother, what's your name?
Corey. So
Corey.
I used to run the campus food bank. Which
Corey, of course.
People's,
Okay, you were, Corey, it's good to have you all. Everyone, yes, Corey is absolutely right. What seems to be missing is, shall we say, the political system, true attention. The social workers did activate a short-term network in both cities, but somehow I think this is, however, the right moment with the current council and mayor, that we can make it a more policy-driven priority. It's really unfortunate that it's not explicit front and center to city council and municipal government, because it's a really serious issue, right? But equally, I think Deep is always the one who reminds us, for our community, food is so powerful. You all know how our community have food as an engagement item for social enterprise, for successful enterprise. It's also a possible way to transform the need for food into solutions that tap into our strength tied to food, right? Growing, cooking, sharing, and really tap into our cultural capital around food. We can be part of the recovery project. But that is where, Corey, you're so right. When Julia returns, the remaining part of our year is to look at creating an overarching relational structure that is looking at policy, looking at higher level changes, right? To support the episodic work that we're doing, right? To bring them together and enhance the collective strength. Yeah. Scott, go ahead, Scott.
Hello. I just had a comment in the chat there when Deep was speaking about the dry goods with the hampers. I mentioned snappy grains out of Nisku. It's a great product. You can substitute it directly for like rice. It's much more nutrient dense. Brady, did you want to give a little bit more background with the snappy grains product and how we used it in the hampers?
Yeah, so there's a fella in Wetaskiwin that I've sort of met through my restaurant business probably in the 10 years ago. And he has sort of come up with an organic barley that is basically the same principle as like Uncle Ben's rice. So it's par cooked and scored. And basically barley typically is something that would take an hour or two to prepare. This can be done in about 10 minutes. So we buy from him in basically bulk and larger in 10 kg bags. But it's very, very fair priced, and he's very community oriented, and on occasion has a surplus that he can make available for a really great price. So I can post his contact info in the chat.
Thank you, Patty.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe going back to Corey a little bit, we are actually helping our community members find easy to access growing opportunity. And we are out at the UofA farm, but with limited access right now because there's not enough land. The interest is so high, but we just aren't able to find enough growing opportunities that's easy for families to get to. You know, if they don't have a car, at least it's accessible by buses. So right now we're partnering a bit with Explore Edmonton and a farmer a bit out of Edmonton, about 40 minutes, and that's not ideal. But we're looking for growing opportunities, more easy for the families to access. And definitely those who were farmers back home are looking for real growing opportunities, right, everyone? And so that's part of it. Anything else that maybe we can fill in? Abby, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back. Scott and Brady, thanks for the snappy grains lead, because I'll just give a little background of how I heard about the Care for All box and Multicultural Health Brokers. So I co-founded a business called Farm Box in the Bow Valley in 2010 or 2011, I forget dates. And it was a box program where we built relationships with small scale organic farmers in Alberta and BC. And we would bring in this produce into the Bow Valley. So that grew up to, I think we were 1.2 million in sales when we sold in 2017 to Organic Box. And so that's how I know Organic Box. And I still work with Heidi, the produce purchaser. I cover for her. And the woman who's doing the Care for All box is Jolynn. And so she is doing all the sourcing for the Care for All box. And right now her only access for this produce are the larger distributors, conventional distributors like Sunfresh and things like that. And so she doesn't have the ability to have all those direct connections to farms and stuff like that, which I think would be so valuable to building this Care for All box going forward. And the cost piece is always an issue. We all know that, you know, local food at this point in time is more expensive than sourcing from these conventional distributors. And it's all, I mean, Scott and Brady, we could probably have like an hour conversation just about that, like just about how to make the numbers work in a way. I mean, that's been my experience, is how do you make it work so that you're not sourcing from these, you know, larger corporations that make it so cheap, you know. So that's kind of my background from the logistics side of things. And so for the school food program that I'm piloting, it's not sourcing from Cisco and GFS. So Scott and Brady, I'm trying to, on a very small scale, trying to do the same thing in our community here in Canmore, and also working with our nation, because I know the principal at Morley School. And so we're just trying to figure out how we can all collaborate on the logistics. So it's, you know, so that brings down costs and things like that. So that's the logistics side. And then I had my other hat I wear at the Bow Valley Food Alliance is on the policy side. So before COVID, we developed a food charter that was from our community conversations. And I mean, I think it's an evolving document, but it's something that we have used to present to municipalities to buy into as a first step to saying food sovereignty is important, and they're going to make it an issue in some way, shape, or form. So Lake Louise signed on literally, I think, 2 days before the pandemic was was announced, I guess announced, I don't know if announced is the right word, but they signed on. Banff has signed on just a few months ago. And now we're working with the town of Canmore and the MD of Bighorn to sign on as well. And it's so fascinating how when, let's say, development is a priority for a municipality, that food just gets pushed to the back. Food gets pushed to the back, and it's how to have these hard conversations with municipalities. So I don't know that question. I don't know the answer to that, but that's just where we're at. And I'm wondering if folks in Edmonton have considered a charter or something in order to approach municipalities that way.
Yeah, Effie, I'm so glad you brought it up. You know, in Edmonton, our municipal government has their youth council. Actually, the youth council a few months ago, towards the end of last year, produced a report and encouraging city council to have a food charter of some kind. And so, and I know we were contacted by, of course, the Food Council in Edmonton, you know, inviting us to speak to them in May. And we want to join the dots. We want to say, we now need something overarching that the city could stand firm on and advance, right? So, Daphne, thank you. I think that is a very important element. And we love to see a copy of the food charter. Yeah.
Yes, Deep, I'll email it to you.
So we see Wanda and Heather both have their hands up.
Go ahead, Heather. Go first.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm here from representing a number of organizations from the province of Nova Scotia, and I just wanted to jump in there a bit. We've been doing a lot of work with municipalities, and the area that I live, for example, a year ago, I'm volunteer with community health boards, and we joined our health boards in the area. We spent probably a good 6 to 8 months talking to individual counselors, not trying to, I guess, really educate them more about what was going on with food being served in all areas within the municipality. Anyway, fast forward, we did a presentation. There were very few questions because we had educated them, we think, quite well. And without any request for funds, we were just looking at policy. They made a commitment of $200,000 to schools in what we call Kings County, the area that I live in, with now they have $100,000 that they've allocated yearly. And we just did a presentation with them last week on the, advocating for a national school food program. So there is lots of interest, and I think what it is, and again, I'm talking about Nova Scotia, but really, I think going about it, I think we went about it the right way in terms of meeting with each of the counselors, but this was through a community health board. And so it was a good connection for our priority for food security, but it was a win-win for the schools in our province or in our county. So just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Heather. Yeah, and I think in Edmonton, we do have a city council that we can work with very closely and very deeply. Yeah, it's the right moment. Yeah.
So I was thinking about the different agencies that are working with schools. So Calgary and Edmonton, they're different. So E4C with the schools in Edmonton, Hope Mission, but in Calgary, they've got backpacks for Calgary kids, which is massive. They've got like 6,000 meals per day that they're distributing. And then there was another group in Calgary also who also were distributing to something like 3,000, or yeah, it was around 3,000. Anyway, when I think about the amount of effort that's going into all these separate agencies to feed our children, and that we need to share these best practices. So the best practices are what Scott is doing, where it's local. Like, are you sourcing local? Well, no, they don't have capacity to do that. They're largely doing Cisco and Gordon, or, just taking whatever donations they can get. Like a lot of it is just very hit and miss and not healthy. And really the opportunity, if we all get together and talk about best practices, because they might not even be realizing, a lot of people are not on the same page as we are with, you know, health. Like we are, I think that we are driven by health, and some people that's just not on their radar, but we could put it on their radar. And I think we should, because the health crisis that's looming is also not on their radar, but we're very well aware of, you know, the type 2 diabetes, the obesity epidemic. Like there's a lot of stuff that we are focused on and aware of that we need to make more people aware of it, and especially those people who are dealing with our children. Yeah.
Thank you, Wanda. Yeah, so everyone, oh yeah.
I wonder if you can try this, but it's the leftover fruit trees with whatever. There's so many food gardens. And I get the first of all, I have people that like the garden, what else? Like, is there that well?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would be wonderful. Dear sister, your name is?
Laura. What is it?
Laura. Ah, right, Laura. Yeah, thank you, Laura. I think all we need right now, it seems so easy already. It's really animators who could match families with families, right? That's what we're missing. You know, I think for an organization like us, we're so embedded on the ground right now, we're totally exhausted ourselves. And so it would be wonderful to have other partners who can actually activate this. It would be wonderful. Yeah.
Let's think about your app.
Yeah,
Is there
I was
potential
gonna
to,
say,
build that into the
that's
app?
a really good idea. I was talking to my team that
So
like,
you have that app right now
Yeah.
where they can put stuff like I have an app that's free and I want to, and I would like put my name on the app and volunteer nearby. Oh, there's food there. So it's similar.
something like I have things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
pretty cool. I'm putting in a note. I think it's something good. Here's some interest testing on this year and see, like especially like
Maybe a pilot test in Edmonton if they
Yeah.
already have.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you both. That's a great idea. Yeah. Yeah. So anyone, any more questions? Oh, Ebony, go ahead.
Just have one more. I just wanted to say thank you so much. And it's amazing that as a founder, you came to speak with us from, you said you founded it in the 90s, right?
Yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. In the 90s, I had just started university. So I wish that this was on my radar then, but hopefully it wasn't. And how can we help you now? What can we do? Grants, writing grants? What can we do?
Yeah, Ebony, thank you for so directly ask us. I think we really need to get to know Alberta Food Matters much more today. It's a beginning. We need all kinds of resources. We need relational resources. We want to work with you to build the kind of relational structure that is missing right now, and therefore strike at higher levels of policy, of other systemic solutions. We do need financial resources. The grocery run, we're doing a fundraiser right now with close to 600 families. We need 150,000 per year to feed these families. And it's really only $250 per family per year. It's a small amount for the grocery run. So we have been desperately fundraising, but also for Care for All, if there is an interest in school, school as a school food solution, loop us in. Could Care for All Food Box be part of the solution? So anything that our group of colleagues here is concerned about, we want to be part of it if we can. with our limited time and resources. But what we're rich in is the connection to the very people who are struggling with food insecurity, right? And their stories, their ideas, their capacity to be part of the solutions. I think that would be key. Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah. So for those who are here, we brought the copies of the Persimmons Project. For colleagues who are joining us virtually, we'll send you the link. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Take
Thanks.
good care. Have a great meeting.
So much. Thank you.